Yep, I can.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah.
The one on the right is the one we discussed earlier last month when Chris wasn't here, and we talked about all of these, the white lines here, shapes, being distracting because of, then we couldn't see all the good stuff. And so Chris went and currently she made some modifications here. Chris, why don't you take it away?
Okay. Well, I didn't make very many modifications, but I took all of your suggestions to heart. And so what I did was in the upper right corner to make the area stand out more, I used black. And then the white area on the middle right side, I made it the same blue as the one on the left side. So I think it holds together a little bit better now.
Yes.
As a piece. And some of the white that was distracting on the left, I put black to enhance that one leafy shape on both sides of that white where Joan's arrow is. And I think that's made it a lot less distracting as well. So what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think it gave it better perspective too.
Yes, I think you're right, Barry. It gives it a little more depth because it actually looks kind of like a wall, that blue area.
Yeah.
Now it looks like it goes back into a corner.
Yeah.
And you also added this blue shape right here.
I added that blue shape, and then up on the right where the black corner is, all I did was negatively paint that leaf in.
Yeah.
Very nice, lovely, great
So
color.
I think it holds together a little bit better.
Definitely.
I mean, it's not one of my favorite pieces, but you
No,
know how that goes.
all of a sudden you can really see everything you did. It's just interesting, little changes.
It is interesting how little changes can make a big difference.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you said it and not me. It is not one of my favorite pieces, but I mean, it's
Oh,
very nice colors and I see the work that went into it.
Yeah, I definitely see the improvement from one to the other. I think
I'm glad.
the comments that the group made last time really worked.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I really take your input to heart because you guys are also good. So whatever you see, sometimes, you know how it is. Sometimes you don't see stuff in your own work.
It just strengthens it a lot. I mean, it really brings out the design. I really like it so much better with the black.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, we really need all this. Scott and Nancy, your input is just so valuable. We need you here.
Yes.
Oh boy, maybe I should start charging. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. And Joan, I just want to say personally, for a person who isn't in California and can't get to those meetings, and I know Chris being in Italy and that, I know it's a lot of work you do, but thank you so much for letting us Zoom in and be together for even 40 minutes a month. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well,
Same here.
I'm happy to do it. Now, here's something I do like, Chris. This is beautiful. It's a masterpiece in watercolor, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
How you?
Well, I was on vacation and we had this day of thunderstorms and hail. So I stayed in all day and, just started doodling at first and then just started, it was really interesting. It almost painted itself and I enjoyed doing it because sometimes I labor and just work so hard on a piece and it becomes overwork, but this one just kind of fell together.
I was going to say that you managed not to overwork it. That's a miracle.
Yeah, really.
When you're doodling, I mean.
And Chris, it appears that maybe kind of started to grow. Maybe you started with the center shape and then added, I don't know how you drew this composition, but it really just seemed like it started from like the middle and that lovely dark bottom outlined in the black of that center vase with the green and the yellow is really a kind of a focal point for me, that little lower section. And then it just seems that everything just kind of grew out of that. Very organic.
It did kind of. And the details I just added a little bit at a time. I did all the sketching in ink.
I was gonna ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was all done in ink and then just loosely painted over it. And then loosely, I guess not loosely, but kind of defined some of the areas again in ink.
Mhm,
But it was fun. I had fun with this one for a
I
change.
like the geometrics in it.
mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I tried to vary the geometrics with the, curvy
Yeah.
stuff, just for some interest.
You know, it's the cool colors that really draw me, and I love cool colors. Did you have any specific palette, color wheel choices?
Nope. I just kind of went along and
Uh-huh.
I added the yellow last because I thought it looked kind of blah without it. So I enhanced some of the green with the yellow.
Just enough. Uh-huh. Great.
The great thing about Chris's palette is she always limits her colors. And I try to follow that because she gives me that advice and I end up using 20 colors and she does great with 4 or 5. So thank you, Chris.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have sure taken giant steps from your first watercolor. I
Well,
remember
I'm trying. I mean, it's,
I remember
it's,
when
it's a hard medium.
I remember when it terrified you in the beginning and it showed.
Nice.
Thanks. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
two of Joy's jazzercise intentions that
Oh, I love the colors.
Color, huh? I tried.
mhm.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
can tell-
watercolor, Joy?
It's acrylic.
Acrylic. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't put it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's for fun, but the abstract for me is it's not easy. Just do some color work.
Uh-huh.
This tells a story,
Beautiful.
both of them. Both of them tell a story. Lovely.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Well, you know, to you and me, it is abstract, but to jazzercise, it's not, they kind of tend to the non-objective
Right.
rather than things that have so much imagery in it.
This is very figurative. So,
Thank
know,
you. That's the word I wanted. Yeah.
yeah, not representational, but figurative. So I'm so happy they accepted it because they're gorgeous. I'm sure they're.
But they didn't.
Oh, they didn't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is
Oh, Joy.
rejected because it's not abstract. It's kind
Oh.
of close to modern, modern color, I think.
I like her little crown. It just kind of floats.
Mhm. The thing is, they in the past they've taken the ones where you did the horses.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
You have
Same.
you have done several things that had figurative images in it. I guess it depends on who the judge is or what mood they're in. We're at the mercy of the judges. How's that?
I know. They're so beautiful. Those colors are just
Yeah,
fantastic.
I like.
Well,
this.
keep it up, Joy.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, the color practice is good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, try something.
I love this one too.
Yes, I
Yeah.
like this one.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But that's even more abstract. I'm surprised they didn't even, accept that one if they didn't want the other one, which had a lot of line work in it. But anyway, who needs them? You got to.
Yeah, actually,
That's beautiful.
is my drawing class, France Marie, and she asked us the model to do the posture like this Queen and the Farah. But I just want to try different. I say, okay, I'll try and like this way.
Mhm.
And so this is why inspired me to do the second one shown before to send it to
Mhm.
jazzercise.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
colors are great. Yeah.
Pretty colors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Mhm.
Well, thanks for showing them, Joy.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Scott, I never got an update on this.
Yeah, it's right there.
Ooh,
I got put it on the
behind
wall.
you.
Yeah, like yesterday. So yeah, this is actually laid out on the table. I have some craft paper to cover up the ugly table so I could get a better idea for the composition for this. So this is below a staircase, so I'm able to get on top of it to kind of like shoot down on it to see what it would look like as a wall hanging. So I have all of these components that I've added together to come up with this composition, and tried a lot of different compositions. And it was kind of cool because I can take a shot of it and then look at it on my phone and then say, oh, that looks terrible. And then I ended up with this composition.
It's lovely.
I was originally trying to go with a horizontal and ended up with a vertical, which is fine because now I have more than I'm making a horizontal right now. So I'm kind of under some time pressure because I have this all laid out in my living room and dining room. Stuff is everywhere. And so I have to get it all cleaned up because we're having company and cleaning coming Wednesday. And so I'm under a little bit of time.
Scott?
Yes.
What are the squares? What are they, tiles?
Okay, the whole inspiration for doing this came from another Zoom call I was on where an artist had taken an old piece of abstract work and actually cut it into small squares and started to put it back together.
Okay.
And I have these two pieces of wood that I've used, to clean out your brush after you've done some house painting, to clean your brush up. So you just kind of, rub it on a board to get the paint out. And over a period of about 5 years, with all these different colors on these two boards that I had, one side's rough sawn, the other is clear sawn or whatever, smooth. I had these really interesting colors that were on these two boards. So I took the two boards and cut them into 4x4 squares, and then painted the sides black. That was the inspiration for doing a composition like this, and then added to it with some painted, just straight pieces. And
I love that. I love it. I think it's fabulous.
Are they glued at the back, Scott?
They're all glued together, right? Yeah.
And what's the
It's
dimension?
interesting to see you using color. I'm so used to the different woods.
Yeah.
And in that piece you had in coal as well, sort of surprised me when I saw it was yours. I didn't recognize it.
Yeah. It's color is kind of my new thing now. So
Good.
Great.
Nice.
it's about 36.
This is fabulous. I love it. I love those pieces of wood. I like the couple that are different from the lined ones. The two looks like an abstract painting that's been cut up. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm partly colorblind, so but I can
Well,
tell
that
the
helps.
difference between blue and yellow and green and blue.
Yeah.
If they're it's when it gets into shading, I have a real problem. But with these kind of colors, I can work with that. It's
Oh,
about
it's great
30
on the wall
36
behind you.
It looks great.
Yeah, it's about 36 inches by 16.
Wow.
And it's kind of cool to kind of see it finally hanging on the wall too. It's
Are you going to do a companion to that or
I
something else?
am. I'm
Okay.
doing a companion, which is going to be horizontal, because actually I have one place in my house has a place where I need something and it needs to be horizontal. It's in the spare bedroom that I have. So that's where that will go if nobody buys it. So anyway,
Congrats.
thanks.
Very nice.
It's a real risk for me to do this, by the way. It's like,
Nice.
oh my God, what are people going to think about it? But it was kind of neat to take it off the table finally and see it on the wall. So
Great. Like
The new Scott.
Yeah,
that's it.
we're all going in new directions, aren't we?
Yeah. That's it.
Oh,
Now, Jerry, I have to apologize. I didn't know which one was which came before which. So you'll have to explain which is the first one, which is the second, and what was the end product.
okay. I had this little image. Here we go. I'm gonna see.
Jerry, you're not on the Zoom screen because they haven't chosen to show you. So can I point to any of this? Is this the first one?
Can you see my face?
Yes. Well,
This is kind of what she looks like now.
Okay.
And she holds a lantern.
I see a lantern in this one, yeah.
Yeah, she has the lantern.
Mhm.
Okay, this is the first thing I've done in several years. When my husband died, I stopped doing a lot of things. It just didn't come to me anymore, to do it. So I'm doing this for my therapist who has hung in with me for several years. She was with Elizabeth Hospice and she still calls me every Wednesday. So anyhow, I'm making this for her to put in her yard, and it's iridescent glass. And you can see me. You clip the glass like with this little clipper, and you make all little pieces. And you can make art. I have done several different things with art. And if I could even lift this, but you can see
Oh, yeah.
that you can do whole framed pictures. You can draw something and you can paint it with glass. So it's kind of interesting to do, and you use this so that you can see right through it.
It's like stained glass without the leading.
Yes, it is. It's like a mosaic, but you can make it flow because the little pieces can flow the way you want them to. You know, this
That's
way,
great, Jerry.
that way. And so anyhow, I'm kind of back in, and so this is my start. So thank you.
So is this going to be freestanding, Jerry?
Oh, what this does, it can sit in her garden. It has little posts that goes in the bottom, and the lantern is solar, so that the sun will shine off it and reflect. You can see it's iridescent glass. And I was hoping she'd enjoy it in her garden.
So it's a standing figure then?
It's a standing figure, yes.
Great.
You could do all kinds of things, you know, mailboxes, all kinds.
Oh, that's really cool. I think that's really cool. I really like the fact that it's freestanding though, Jerry. I think that's really neat. I mean, when I looked at this, I thought, well, this is going to be a wall piece, but the fact that you can hold it up and it'll stand up is going to add a whole new dimension to it. And I love the lantern idea.
Yeah.
It gives a kinetic thing to it. That's kind of cool. Really cool.
Thank you. I'm hoping the sunlight will catch the glass.
How big is it, Jerry?
Let me see, 24 inches,
Oh, okay.
maybe more like 30.
Well, I'm just glad to see you're creating again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoy this because I learn things.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing, Jerry. One of my favorite artists.
Thank you, Joan. I'm blushing. I was down in Marco Island for 3.5 weeks with helping a friend redecorate a condo down there. And when she was at the hardware store, I was able to buy some pretty cheap, you know, acrylics and then a set of very cheap watercolors. But I figured, what the heck? I bought a pad of paper and, you know, just wanted to sketch. This is kind of the scene outside of her condo. Her condo's on a canal. And the skies are so dramatic down there because you're right on the Gulf of Mexico, and it rains every day in the afternoon. And the clouds were so dramatic the way they came in and then quickly went out. And everything is green down there. So I didn't get a real lot of combinations of green for me to do my typical, you know, layering of different shades in that. But I kind of did this in an afternoon, and she liked it so much. She says, "Can you leave it here?" And I said, "Sure." So she's going to frame it. It's pretty loose.
You mentioned it was a quick sketch.
Yeah, it was just quick. I just drew a quick sketch of the scene that's outside of her door on the side, and then I applied watercolors to it, and that was it. No acrylics, just kind of flowed, mistakes and all.
I think
Oh, it's nice.
that's what's so great about it. It's so spontaneous and fluid.
Great. It's great with the mistakes. I like that.
Yeah. And I'm glad you
Love
didn't
those clouds, Nancy.
glad you didn't do the typical sky. It's just
Thank you.
yeah, it's a great interpretation. Good work.
Thank you.
There are mistakes in this, Nancy? Where's the mistake?
Oh yeah. There's boats I should have drawn in, and you know, some of the palm trees in the distance aren't really to scale, but you know, that's okay. It's my interpretation.
It's really nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it too.
Beautiful.
And I had to make my own purple. I couldn't get it. So obviously, thank God, I know red and blue make purple. So I had to kind of mix that up a little bit, but no, I liked it. I like doing it. I'm glad that she liked it too. So
Well, it's all called artistic license.
correct. Correct. Yeah.
I think the shadow at the shadow underneath the trees kind of adds the depth to it.
It does. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had to use kind of a brownish black for that. So and it almost is too dark, but that's okay. Black anchors whatever you do, and whether decorating or, in a picture. So it did kind of bring the bushes down to the ground level. Thank you.
I love the composition, Nancy. It's so asymmetric, and the sky is interesting. To me, it's very abstract, even though you have a lot of realistic leaves and trees in it. It has a totally different feel to it, almost surrealistic.
Thank you. And I didn't even intend for it to be an abstract design. I just kind of like drew the palm tree where it was and put the bush where it was. And my main thing was to try to capture that sky, because the clouds were moving in so close and moving beyond. So I sketched it real quick and then put just a couple blues and greens down to anchor it. And I didn't really pay attention to how it does flow with the composition. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you have something in common with Joy, in the sense that you've developed such a mastery of it. It becomes intuitive when you choose your colors and you just go with what you're feeling.
Right. You go with what you got. And I had some pretty cheap things. So I did what I did with the cheap things, and I'm glad it turned out.
And not be inhibited by technique. It seems to come automatic once you've done all the paintings that you have done.
I think the ones I do faster kind of turn out better. When I spend too much, there's a need certain times when you're doing a composition that has a lot of detail on it to take your time. But this wasn't. I could, it was just free flowing. So I'm glad I didn't have to jump it.
Well, your next painting is quite the opposite, and it's also beautiful. So that just talks about the technique that you've developed. This is something.
Right. It took a lot of time with this one. It actually was a commission I did for a friend of my nephew and his wife. I met them before, but I met them at my nephew's son's first communion. And this woman really, really likes my art. She had seen some of my pictures before. She says, she said, I really have my husband loves this golf course. It's the Ivanhoe Golf Course in the Chicago area. And she had this picture of the sunset, which was just extraordinary. And she said, she had another art friend who was kind of an abstract painter up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and like her best friend. And she said, my best friend won't paint this for me. And I said, I'll paint it for you. And I got it done in like 2 weeks. And she has it now as her picture on her homepage on Facebook. So that flatters me. But yeah, very colorful. Many, many, many layers of acrylic paint.
Yeah.
The grass took me forever because it was very undulating and
yeah.
And
The reflections on the lake are really nice. And I think all the detailing you have here is complemented by the undulating grass that you did. It's so flat. So the two of them work together very well.
Thank you. I had to put some blues in there a little bit, and I had to use a lot of lime green. And I tried not to use for the trees, which were, I think this was a fall picture. So the trees had lost their leaves, but they're deciduous trees, they weren't evergreen. So you could see right through them. And I just did them in a really, really dark brown, maybe some purple there. And then as far as the reflection in the little pond, the water hole, I drew the trees in, then kind of cut back a little bit, and then just put a glaze of light brown over them. And that did exactly what I wanted to do, which was, to kind of show them. And the water wasn't moving. It's just a very still pond. So luckily I didn't have any waves to deal with, but that's how I got that brownish. Yes.
Did you paint the trees, or did you use ink?
I painted the trees. I painted them.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a 3-foot long painting. So there was a lot of trees. I had trouble putting the clouds behind them because there was still a little white cloud, and a little bit of blue. And then it, the intensity of that sunset then turned just that layer above that clouds into the orange. So I had a hard time getting the still showing a little bit of a daylight cloud behind the tree, but I think it comes through.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all acrylic. It's all no ink, just all acrylic.
Mm,
yeah. I think this guy is really cool.
yeah. Mhm.
Thank
What I really like about this is you've got the flat rolling whatever, and then you've got this detail in the trees, and then the reflection is just dynamite. I love the detail you've got in this.
Thank you. Yeah, there's some terraced areas across the pond there that because they were so far away, you really couldn't show too much of a third dimension to them. But I just accomplished that with showing the shadows of the trees on the green there. So
But
thank you. I loved painting
this
it.
guy really works. This guy really works.
Yeah, this guy took me, I think, 5 days because there was layers of purple and blues and aqua and all that.
I think what grabs me, Nancy, is that it's such the opposite. The palette is so much the opposite of what Chris uses. Remember, you said she has a limited palette.
Yes.
You've got all kinds of colors going that shouldn't be
Right.
going together, but they do.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, because a little bit of pink sneak in there at the base of the trees under the cloud. And I just had to keep, referring to the photo. And the photo was very small.
Yeah.
So I took another picture of it and blew it up so I could kind of see it. And then I did my own kind of interpretation. There were actually houses behind it, but I didn't put those in. You could only see the roofs. So I said they weren't necessary. I just, put the cloud back there.
You almost infer that they're there just by the light at the back.
Yes, a lot of vegetation back there. And you can't really tell
Darkness
for
in the
sure.
shadow, yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I was very pleased when somebody beside, my family likes my painting, and she was thrilled with it, and she gave it to him for Father's Day. So I was under kind of a tight schedule right before I went on vacation. And so I was happy.
Yeah.
Very, very happy.
Good.
Very nice work.
Thank you.
Barry, this is something of yours I drafted, so we'd have more to talk about. Remember, you just sent this in.
My elephant.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Now, you said it was 16 inches long. The last time I showed it, I said it was 16 feet.
That's correct. I did that while I was still in South Africa. It was one of my earliest pieces, just a piece of pine, and it has since disappeared into the poachers got it, I guess. But yeah, it's just nice and stylized and easy, and the knot in that piece of wood came perfect for the eye, and I had those two little tusks in a drawer. So, and the trunk it stayed in one piece for quite a while. It broke off, and I had to glue it, but it didn't really spoil it, and it stayed like that for quite a while.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting.
And then I also brought up this one of yours,
Another one of mine.
Brasilito wood.
Yeah, Upward Dog, yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
a
love
piece of
that. I
that.
remember seeing that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's all those scraps of Brasilito that I have, I just polish the surfaces I want to. There's no finish on them. I just sand them down to smooth so they have a contrast with the rough pieces, and just sand them down to 400 or 600, and then they get their own little shine. I don't need to put any finish on them, and it seems to retain it quite well.
Is that a tree or?
It's a piece of a tree. It's I got it out of a scrap bin up at the Exotic Wood. But people make like 3-foot diameter tables out of that wood and things like that. So it's a big tree from Mexico.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous wood. I mean, and I have some pieces like this too, that I took out of the scrap as well, because the wood is so unique, and it has beautiful color in it. It's hard for a wood person to turn their back on a little piece of wood like
absolutely.
that,
Well,
And the pieces, they just make these figures that they could be anything. And this piece, when I cut it, I don't know where I cut it off from or whatever, but then it just gave me this put it down like this, and oh, okay, it's a dog. To me, it's a dog. And then I actually gave it to Steve Wilson, who was doing, who does a lot of yoga and stuff. So it became an upward dog.
I think what I like about it best, it reminds me of what's left over after you've had a T-bone steak.
It does.
It looks like the
It
bone
does.
that's
It
left
looks like
over.
the bone, yeah.
Oh, now
It
you
looks
just
like
ruined
it's
my whole
sculpted
imagination.
itself. It
But
almost looks like it's sculpted itself, and I'm curious
Yeah.
how the lighter, is the lighter shade an unstained part of the wood, or how?
Yeah,
what's-
it's the light. I guess it's the younger wood.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So you didn't stain that brown area at all?
Not at all. Just
Oh.
sanded
Wow.
it down smooth.
Yeah.
The way
Anyway,
the way the tree grows is if you took this piece and you laid it on the back or whatever,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and then it grows up that way, and they've just
I'll explain about this piece that's hanging at the Getty Museum in LA, but just quickly before we run out of time, I was just explaining that I went through a period when I was very infatuated with his work. Right after I got through college, and I tried a painting that was trying to be as loose as he was. And I came up with this other one here. It's called, whoops, let me go back. I call it Discovering Rose Matter. It's 3 feet by 4 feet. I did that right after college. And you'll notice this is one of his pieces. And I was kind of trying to splash and be loose, a very immature artist that I was. And there's about 100 coats of paint on this. I used a palette knife and went over, turned the thing upside down, sideways, and whatever. And if you read, if you look up Rose Madder, I was intrigued by that name because I didn't know what rose madder was. And if you look it up, they tell you what kind of pigment it is and where it comes from. So, and somebody bought it from me, and being an inexperienced artist, that was a thrill. Of course, they didn't pay me 30 million. They might have paid me $50.
It's a start.
It was a start. But luckily I have a photo of it. But right now at the Getty, they are exhibiting Willem de Kooning's Woman Ochre. It was stolen from the museum 30 years ago in Arizona. The story is a couple walked in and the woman distracted the guard. The guy went in there and took his box knife cutter and cut all around the edges. What he didn't realize is that the painting itself was adhered to a backing. And there's a video, if you Google, if it's interesting, go ahead and Google, what do I have here? Conserving de Kooning or Getty de Kooning. They'll show you a video of how, when the guy was peeling the artwork off, how the paint started crumbling. And they've used, according to this picture here, they've used X-ray machines and all kinds of radiography and infrared stuff to kind of see what the pigmentation was in the back so that they could restore it. And they also have a video of how it was restored. But anyway, if you'll have time to read this, it was sliced from the frame, torn from its backing. And they actually found it hanging on the closet door of somebody's apartment 30 years later. And so this is how it looks when it's been restored.
It's a lovely piece.
Thank you, Joan. It's very informative.
Yeah,
really interesting.
So they are showing it this summer if you get the chance to go there. And so that's my contribution.
I love his work, and I love your painting too. You can see I can feel the layers.
Oh,
Palette knife is fun.
Can we see it again, Joan?
Yeah, there you go.
you know,
de Kooning Jr.
If a person were to roll this up, all the paint would crack off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so thick.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice, very nice.
you
Does
for
anybody work with rose madder?
Oh, is that
I
a
just-
color?
Yeah, it is a color. I just bought it a while ago. It is kind of like
Really?
a muddy, it's a cool red.
Yeah.
But it's so subdued.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, rose madder. Yep.
Yeah.
Can you get it in acrylic or what?
Yep.
Can you get it in anything? Oil, acrylic, watercolor?
Why don't you Google it?
I have
Yeah,
watercolor.
I think I got it in acrylic. I
Oh.
think I got it either